Hello and welcome back to Geeky Brummie's Comics Roundup. And this time I'm going to be taking a slightly different approach to how I look at it, but this is the massive wodge of comics that I've got to go through. So if you like what you see, please do subscribe and hit the notification buttons, and I'll see you in a few seconds. As I've got so much to get through this month, I am going to take a look at all the books coming from the publishers individually. So I'm going to start off my list this week with Spider-Man Life Story number 6. All of these titles are going to be from Marvel. This is Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley's final issue of their exploration of what life would be like for Spider-Man if he aged in real time. It's been a real nice, interesting look at what might have happened if Spider-Man had become a pensioner by the time we got to the current day. Really interesting series, so if you haven't picked it up, do look out for it in trade, which will hopefully be out soon. Also out to celebrate Marvel's 80th anniversary was Marvel Monsters number 1 by Colin Bunn and Scott Hepburn. I love a monster book, and I must admit that this particular one has really hit the mark. It's just a one-off as part of Marvel's 80th anniversary books, but I mean, just check out lovely Man-Thing spread there. Just a Kid Kaiju coming back to deal with Marvel's monsters. Lovely cover, so go check that out if you can. Another one of the Marvel 80 anniversary issues is Power Pack Grow Up number 1. This is from the original creative team of Louise Simonson and June Brigman. This is a tale that takes us back in time to when the Power Pack were originally around, and you might have seen them in some other titles recently. They're kind of currently featuring in the Future Foundation from Marvel, but a great little flick back to the joys of comic collecting in the 80s. Next up, we've got Silver Surfer Black number 3. This is from Donny Cates and Tradd Moore. I mean, this is just a phenomenal book. The writing's fantastic, the art is beautiful. I mean, just check out that cover. This is a great book. It's going to be a shame when it's going to be over, but I'm quite happy to hope that we're going to get some more cosmic adventures from Donny Cates and Tradd Moore in the future. Next up, we've got Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man number 28. This is from Nick Spencer and one of my favourite artists of all time, Kev Walker, who did some kind of Young Avengers stuff and Dr. Aphra over recent years. His work's really brilliant. I do love his particular version of Spider-Man, so I've been kind of treating myself to Amazing Spider-Man while Kev is the regular artist. Then we have Death's Head number 2. This is by Tini Howard and Kai Zama. This is, again, one of Marvel UK's best known characters, and the art is lovely. It's a great story. Some interesting things going on here with some different alternate versions of Death's Head appearing. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. I'm bored for the rest of the run. Then we have The History of the Marvel Universe number 2. This is from Mark Waid and Javier Rodriguez. I do love a kind of history book which retells kind of what's going on. They used to do the Marvel handbooks back in the day, which had all the details about the various heroes. And this particular book is just taking a look back at everything that's happened in the Marvel Universe over the last 80 years. It's a great read, and I highly recommend it. And we've also had Powers of X numbers 2 and 3. This is Jonathan Hickman with R.B. Silver. This is the part of the X-Men story which is kind of taking place in the kind of past, present and future, and I like what's going on in there. Some interesting revelations about one of the most well-known characters in the X-Men history, Moira McTaggart. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely check out Powers of X. And then concurrently running with that is House of X, which is the kind of other week's edition. This again, Jonathan Hickman, and this is also features art from Pepe Larraz. Nice Star Jammers cover there for issue 4. The two, Powers and House of X, really tie together into a really great story. This week's issue of House was a great issue. Lots of interesting things and quite impactful things happening in that. So what will happen with the rest of the series, I'm really intrigued to find out. One that I don't think I put down on my regular weekly listings, but I picked up because I do kind of like this a lot, is Future Foundation number 2. This is written by Jeremy Whitley with art by Will Robinson and Paco Diaz. Again, It's featuring a couple of the characters from the original Power Pack, and also is hinting at other things going on in the Marvel Universe. Lovely art, nice fun story, well worth checking it out.
And with the announcement of them both getting their own show on Disney Plus, you might want to check out the SheHulk Annual by Alexander Petrie and Andy MacDonald, and issue 5 of Marvel Team Up starring Ms. Marvel by Clint McElroy and Ig Guara.
And then rounding out my selection of Marvel books over the last month is, of course, Marvel Comics 1000. This was my pick of the week a couple of weeks back, and this was overseen by Al Ewing, a writer I really enjoy, who's doing great work on the Immortal Hulk. And this just is a trip through the 80 years of Marvel history. There is a page for each year of Marvel's existence, and it features some incredible artists. Mark Buckingham's in there, Jason Aaron's in there. Just check it out. There's a page for everybody in here. It's just a beautiful, beautiful piece of work and a great celebration of Marvel Comics. Moving on to DC now, we've got Collapsat number 2. This is by Mickey Way, Sean Simon, Ilias Kourianzis. I hope I'm saying that right. Again, this is continuing the story of Liam, the DJ with a black hole in the centre of his heart. He's telling a great story here. I'm really enjoying this. The way they're using dialogue to give Liam his inner monologue is really nice. I'm kind of really enjoying what's going on here. Some great visuals, so definitely check out Collapsa from DC Young Animals, a great imprint at DC. Some really good books coming out of that. Then we've got Batman Universe number 2. This is by Brian Michael Bendis and Nick Derrington. This is reprinting the material that was available in Walmart 100-page editions, which we didn't get in the UK. But who could resist a Nick Derrington Batman? It's a bonus that it's written by Brian Michael Bendis, but the artwork alone is stunning. I love Nick Derrington's work, and I'm glad that we're getting to see this in the UK. Then we've got the 6th issue of Dial H for Hero. This is from Sam Humphries and Joe Quinones, from the Wonder Comics imprint over at DC. Joe is doing a wonderful job with the art on this, and the story is just beautiful. It's fun, and it has got some interesting things to say about life, the universe, and everything. So if you haven't checked out Dial H for Hero, please do so. It's a great book. Next, we've got the much delayed Supergirl number 33. This is by Mark Andreyko and Kevin Maguire. Delayed for various reasons. Some of it to do with cover, perhaps, but also some of it to do with the appearance of a certain bunch of heroes from the 31st century, which Kevin Maguire does a great job of representing here. Part of the reason why I'm buying this is because of Kevin's art, and I've really enjoyed the cosmic adventures of Supergirl. Next, we've got The Dreaming number 13. This is by Simon Spurrier and guest artist this month, Danny. This is a kind of standalone story which is away from the main story, which is being drawn by Belquis Evely. Again, some lovely art reminiscent of what was happening in the original Sandman series. A real nice standalone issue. If you haven't been buying The Dreaming, I really recommend it. Si Spurrier has been doing a fantastic job with this series. Then we've got Doom Patrol, Weight of the Worlds number 3. This is again from DC's Young Animal imprint, written by its curator Gerard Way, with Jeremy Lambert, Steve Orlando, and art by Evan Doc Shanna this month. This is a alternate story. It doesn't follow on from the previous issue. We're in some alternate universe territory going on here, but I love the Doom Patrol. I love what Jared's been doing with this series. We get Beast Boy featured on the cover here, making an appearance, who, if you are a fan of Doom Patrol, will know he's one of the original members of the core team way back when he first appeared. But yeah, please get on Doom Patrol. It's a great, fantastic read.
I also recommend you check out Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen number 2 by Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber. And new from DC is the Legion of Superheroes Millennium number 1, written by Brian Michael Bendis, with pencils by Jim Lee, Andrea Sorrentino and Dustin Nguyen.
Then finally from DC we have a Doomsday Clock number 11. This is from Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. This is taking a long time to arrive, as the DC are giving them the time to actually create this series, and I must admit I wasn't certain about this going into it when it first was announced, but I must admit now, 11 issues in, I'm really enjoying what Jeff Johns and Gary Frank are doing with this, and this particular issue ends on a cliffhanger which I'm hoping the 12th and final issue will deliver on. Then from our independent publishers, I've got Second Coming #2 from Ahoy Comics. This is written by one of my favourite writers, Mark Russell, and Richard Pace on art here. I've had to order this one online. It's a bit tricky to get it in my local comic shop. So if you are interested in Second Coming, this is the story of a certain religious personage, and he's living in a house with a superhero. The first issue was great. The second issue really kind of gets to grips with the story that I think Mark is trying to tell. Really insightful, beautiful writing by Mark, which again gets under the skin of a lot of things that people should be thinking about in this day and age. So do check out Second Coming from Ahoy Comics. Then from Black Crown we have Eve Stranger #3. This is written by Dave Barnett with art by the ever marvellous Philip Bond. I'm really enjoying the story of Eve Stranger. Black Crown are putting out some nice kind of alternate books, which I'm really enjoying. This is actually kind of under the IDW imprint, so do check out. You can see David Barnett. He's going to be at the High Vis Festival, which will be happening tomorrow if you're watching this on the 6th of September, so go and get him to sign a few copies. Then a bit of a personal indulgence from Dynamite is Warlords of Mars Attacks. This is written by Jeff Parker with art by Dean Kotz. I love a bit of Mars Attacks. I'm a big fan of the Tim Burton series and the film, and also the toys and the cards and all that kind of stuff. And this is just pure fun. Dynamite do a great job with their licensed characters, so it's a bit of an indulgence, but I am having a lot of fun reading this book. From IDW, I've picked up issues 4 and 5 of Star Trek Year 5. This is by two writers. The issue 4 is Brandon Easton with art by Martin Piccolo, and then issue 5 is by Jody Hauser with art by Sylvia Clifano. Check out that cover on issue 5, that's a beauty. It's really nice to see creators, what we 50 years later on, still doing interesting work with the Star Trek characters, and if you are a fan of that original series, I do recommend you check out these books. Over at Image, I've got Out of Darkness #9. This is by John Layman and Afu Chan. I've been picking up this book since issue 1. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Afu is doing a brilliant job with the art, and John Layman's story is fantastic. He's promising big things to come after the end of this story arc, which ends with issue 12. But if you haven't been picking it up, please do. It is science fiction horror, but done in a way that is just really nice, really beautiful. I like all the characters that they've introduced, and I'm having great fun reading this book, so do check out Out of Darkness. Then we've got issue 24 of Curse Words from Image by Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. This is the penultimate issue of this series, which is about to end. I've been thoroughly enjoying the adventures of Wizard, Ruby Stitch and Margaret the Koala. Interesting things are happening. Ends with a rather interesting lead in to the final issue, so spoilers, sorry there, but I'm really enjoying Curse Words. If you haven't checked it out in singles, please do go back and pick up the trades, which are available now. And then one from Boom Studios, which I missed on its initial release. This is Once and Future from Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora. I heard a lot of people raving about this online after it was published. Thought I would give it a go. Was surprised to realise that I'm actually in this book, which is quite interesting, so obviously I have a vested interest in reading it. Having read it, I must say I'm hooked, it's great, and recently it was announced that the original run of limited issues is now going to become an ongoing at Boom, so congratulations to Kieran Dan on that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else happens with Duncan and the rest of the group. So that's Once and Future from Boom Studios. If you live in Birmingham, you can of course pick up your comics from the wonderful Worlds Apart on Small Book Queensway. Just head up the stairs and you will see their collection of back issues with their more recent and current issues around the edge of the store. Talk to the staff there and they will look after you. You can catch the Geeky Brummie podcast on a regular basis, usually on a Saturday, through your podcasting service of choice. So please do make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss an issue. Also check out our website at geekybrummie.com, where you'll find my weekly comics roundup, a couple of other bits and pieces that may interest you about geekery around the West Midlands area, and on Fridays we have Lee Price's gaming roundup, which is absolutely always well worth a read. So please do check that out. And that's it from me for this episode of the Geeky Brummie Comics Roundup. I hope to see you next time, but don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and I will see you all again soon. Goodbye.